Hello, I'm Catherine and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if this is a return visit. Today I wanted to do a review of my August 2021 Shop My Stash and give you an idea of which products I really loved that I pulled from my stash and which ones I am going to declutter. So I'll start off quickly with primers. For primers, for drugstore, I picked my e.l.f. Mint Melt, and for high-end, I picked the Milk Makeup Hydra Grip. I will tell you this was great because I just had a mini of this and I had really liked this, but I liked this one so much more. I would not buy this one again. I'll use this up. It's great for travel because it is a mini, but I highly recommend this primer. It is cooling and it definitely helps your makeup to last longer. So drugstore for the win in the primer category. For foundations, I picked the Clinique Even Better Refresh foundation, and for drugstore, I picked the Age Perfect. This is their Radiant Serum foundation from L'Oreal, and this again wins for me. This one I just didn't love. I couldn't get it to work where I really loved the finish. It didn't matter what powders, what primers, anything I used, and of course, I pulled from other things in my stash as well to see which kind of a primer. I used just a regular hydrating primer. I used more of a glowy powder, and this foundation was just not my favorite. It wasn't great coverage. The matteness and the glow level just didn't seem to go very well. It was more difficult to use. So I would not recommend this particular foundation from Clinique, and it will be something that I will declutter. However, this one is one of my very, very favorites from the drugstore. I highly recommend this. If you haven't tried this one yet, it is so affordable. Of course, drugstore is getting more expensive, especially L'Oreal, but I love this. I was in the shade Cream Beige 25, and it's one of my favorite foundations. For concealers this month, I picked, for high-end, the Lancome Tinty Doll. This is the Ultra Wear, the brand new one from Lancome that is getting a ton of buzz. I did an entire review video with a wear test of this particular concealer. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen that video, which you should check out if you want more details, I'm not in love with this concealer. It's very drying under my eyes, and I have a lot better concealers. So I am glad that I was able to really give this a thorough review for you guys, but I personally, if you have dry or under eyes, I would not recommend this. It aged me every time I wore it. For drugstore concealer, I used the Flower Beauty, and this is a very nice concealer. It's hydrating. It reminds me a lot of the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and it has a very similar consistency. So I like this one. If you find this one or if you have this one, pull it back out. It's a very hydrating, good concealer. For corrector, and I don't have my Becca one, but I decided to use the Flower Beauty corrector and the Becca Under Eye Brightener, and I'm going to be doing an entire video on Becca dupes soon, so stay tuned for that. This is not a Becca dupe. So I was seeing if this was going to be a Becca dupe. It looks like it is. It's in the little pot, similar color. This is just much drier. It's a much drier formula. And the Becca formula is more hydrating for your under eyes, which obviously you can tell a trend. I like to have a little bit of hydration for my under eyes. And this one was just way too dry, so I will be decluttering this one. For powder this month, high-end, I was using this Anastasia Beverly Hills. This came in a BoxyCharm. This is their translucent loose setting powder. This was very nice. I liked this powder. It's not necessarily anything that unique, but it's a very nice translucent powder. I wouldn't buy it again because it reminds me so much of the Wet n Wild, which of course is so much cheaper. But it's a nice powder, and if you have this one, you should definitely pull it out. I like it a lot. For my drugstore powder, I use the No. 7 Lift and Luminate powder. This is a fabulous powder. I recommend this highly to anyone. It's not cakey, it's not drying on the skin, but it can give you a little bit of coverage and definitely takes any oily or greasy parts of your skin away. This is a beautiful compact, and it's just a great powder. For high-end bronzer, I decided to use this IT Cosmetics. This is their Ombre Radiance, and I will tell you, I think it's okay. Not great. I wouldn't recommend you spending what this costs. There's so many better powders out there, so many better bronzers out there, I should say, but it is Very, very light and has a nice sheen. You really can't go wrong with it. If you tend to be really heavy-handed with bronzer, this might be a nice one. I'm going to keep it in my collection because I don't dislike this product, but I just wouldn't recommend you buying it. There are better bronzers out there. Again, Drugstore for the win. I would recommend you buy this one over the IT Cosmetics. This is the L'Oreal Lumi True Match Bronze It, and the pan size on this is just incredible. And it has a very slight sheen. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful bronzer, melts right into your skin. I have nothing but great things to say about this. If you haven't tried this one, this is worth trying, and I was glad I got to really work with it. I tried 2 different eyeshadow primers, which I'm not necessarily going to do that every month, but I wanted to compare them. One was the P. Louise base, which is very famous, and I have the shade Light. And then also I tried the Jason Wu, which you can find at Target. This is their Wu Prime Eye, and again, I have the shade Light. These are great eyeshadow primers. They're very, very similar. They blank your eyes out. So if you are doing anything colorful with your eyes, these are great for that. They take away all lid discoloration, and they're beautiful. They're really incredibly similar. And to be honest, the P. Louise is a great price. You can get this at Morphe. I believe they're similar priced. So it really wasn't a fair, like high-end drugstore comparison. Both great. I would recommend both if you are looking for a blanket out eyeshadow primer. For cream bronzer, I pulled the Tower 28. This is their Bronzino West Coast bronzer, and this is very nice. I don't think it's as nice as a lot of the different cream bronzers that are out on the market now, and even some in the drugstore, like I feel like the e.l.f. Putty bronzers. Now, this has some sheen to it. It applies very nicely. It's kind of a one and done, and it is very, very nice. I liked using it, but it's not my favorite cream bronze product, if that makes sense. I compared that to this e.l.f. Multi-Stick in the bronze shade. They are very similar. This has a little bit more red or pink in it, so you can get away with just using this all over for your bronzer and your blush. This is so inexpensive, and it's a great product, and it wore the same as this high-end product. For blush, high-end, I decided to use this Bobbi Brown. This is the Illuminating Bronzing Powder in Antigua, and it is an actual blush. It's more of a blush than a bronzing powder. I liked this, but I didn't love it. I have used this previously, and I liked it a lot more, but this go around, it's not my favorite. It's definitely something I'm thinking about decluttering because it doesn't have a lot of color or pigment, and it just kind of sits flat on your skin. And that, in comparison to my Rimmel Maxi blush, this was so inexpensive in the shade Third Base. This was incredible. Highly recommend. These two gave such a different look on the skin. This one made your cheeks look more alive and healthy, and this one was a little bit more dull. So for me, I think I'm going to declutter this, and I wouldn't recommend you picking it up. I do recommend the drugstore. I mean, drugstore is really winning in this month. I mean, very much so. For cream blush, I decided to use the Mario, Makeup by Mario in Earthy Pink. This is a beautiful pink. It's not bubblegum pink. It's more of a rose pink. I love this. This is a great product. And then I compared that to this Morphe 2 blush stick in the shade Rosy Wishes. And I loved this. These were both great. Great products. Highly recommend. You get a little bit more product here than you do with this one, but they're both great. For my high-end highlighter, I was using this one from Wander Beauty. This is the shade After Hours, and it was actually kind of a small sample that I got. This is beautiful, but it is a blinding highlight, which I am finding I'm not liking quite as much these days. I like a little bit more of a subtle highlight. The one I have on today is from Becca, and it's just their traditional opal highlight. This one is just like from space. You can see it, and it is a little bit too glittery for me, but I like it, but I didn't love it, and I don't think I would pick up the bigger size of this. However, the Wet n Wild that I chose for my drugstore highlight is probably one of my very favorite highlighters I've ever gotten at the drugstore. This is incredible. This is their Mega Glow highlighting powder in the shade Blossom Glow. I highly, highly recommend this highlight. It is stunning. It is just the perfect amount of glow. It's not too much, just gives you that very healthy lit from within look. I highly recommend. And of course, it is so, so much more inexpensive. For cream eyeshadows, I use this Pixie by Petra. I guess I consider this to be my high end. It is more expensive. This is in the shade Copper Glaze, and it is a really pretty, just one and done shade. I like this a lot. I don't know that I would recommend it, but I liked it. I thought it was good. But this is a major win. I did a reel and a TikTok on this particular product that is one of my favorite one and done bronzy eyes. This is a ColourPop Super Shock Shadow. I always have to slow down before I say that. This is in the shade Basic Instinct. This is incredible. I love this as a nice, easy, one and done shade. Just stunning. If you have green eyes like me, you will absolutely love this, but blue, even brown, really any color eyes would be great, but it really made my green eyes pop. I chose two palettes to use during my Shop My Stash. The high-end palette was this Transition palette from Luminate Cosmetics. This is an all matte palette, and I'll tell you, it is incredible. It's just stunningly gorgeous. If you love matte shadows, you will love this palette. These are buttery, they blend so well, they are pigmented, but so easy to work with. I love that you have this lightest all the way to the darkest shade. You can mix and match. If you have other all matte palettes, like maybe the Makeup by Mario mattes, which I love that palette, but the nice thing is this has a few cooler shades in it, which I really like. The Makeup by Mario is very warm and it's great, but I love that this one has a few cooler shades in it as well. I love this palette and I highly recommend trying out this Luminate Cosmetics Transitions palette. For my drugstore palette, I decided to use this Maddie Ziegler. This is from Morphe. This is the Imagination palette, and I had a lot of fun with this palette. This is a great palette, and recently it has just been on sale, like 40, 50, 60. I think I even saw 70% off. I highly recommend it. This shade down here called Godfather is stunning. These peachy shades are beautiful. All of this is beautiful. I dipped into all of these. I am not that adventurous about using these type of shades, but I love this palette. The quality of these eyeshadows was there. It was on point and I really did like it. So if you find this on sale, this is a very fun palette to play with. It's especially if you have a teenager who really loves makeup, this would be a great gift pickup for Christmas. It's on, believe it or not, we're in September now, so we're getting close. This would be a great thing to get for that teenager because they can have so much fun, but then they have all these beautiful neutrals as well. I love this palette. I think it's a great deal and it is a great quality palette. Okay, so that was my Shop My Stash for August. It was great. I really enjoyed doing a deep dive on these products and giving you some very thorough reviews. I feel like I can honestly recommend or tell you not to get a product because I have used these products every single day. If you are enjoying the Shop My Stash series, give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already joined us, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. Hope you guys are doing well, and I look forward to shopping that stash in September.